So yesterday I made some collage fish on a little board canvas, and today I'm going to make those collage fish into a repeating pattern. So I've taken a photograph of the fish and I've imported it into Photoshop. We're going to have a go at making it into a repeating pattern. So the first thing I want to do is I want to isolate these fish from the background. So I don't want the cutting mat, I don't want the white of the canvas board showing at all. So to do that, I'm going to go to the magic wand tool and I'm going to click on one of the fish, go up here to select and mask, make sure it's on the top one. I'm going to zoom in and just make a quick selection of the fish and get most of it in if I possibly can. Okay, and now I want to zoom in and refine those edges. So I'm going to go to this brush tool here. I might make that a little bit bigger. That'll do. And just refine these edges here. There's a couple of little patches here, just to make sure it's all nice and smooth. So just carefully go around the edges. Now while I'm doing this, I need to tell you that I, as you can see, use Photoshop and I know how to do the things that I need to do, that I want to do, but I'm no expert, and so therefore I may not be doing it in the most efficient way, but it's the way that works for me. So if you just take this as, if you don't know anything about Photoshop and you've got Photoshop, then yeah, follow my example here and you'll be able to do what I can do. I'm going to make that just a little bit smaller again. But there may be more efficient ways of doing this. So just bear that in mind. But I don't do an awful lot on Photoshop, but I do find it a very useful program to have. And they're like Illustrator as well. They are so powerful. I don't think I'll ever know if I worked on it every day for a year, whether I'd get to know all of the functions that these programs are capable of doing. But if it does what you want it to do, and then that's all well and good. So I've gone around the edges now and I'm kind of happy with those edges. So I'm going to press OK. I want to copy this fish and put it onto a new background. So I'm going to go Command C, Command V, and as you can see here, that's now put it on a new layer. Let's get back to my pointy tool. So I've got the new fish on a layer here and I've got the background. So if I turn the background off, you can see that that fish is isolated from everything. So I'm going to turn the background back on again, turn the other fish off, make sure I'm on the background, and I'm going to do exactly the same with the second fish. So the magic wand tool, I'm going to make this bigger again because I knocked it right down, didn't I? How much more do I want that? A bit bigger than that. And I'm on the wrong one. So you're on the top one, so that's automatically going to find the edges. Okay. And do the eye. So now we want to zoom in and go and just check all of our edges. I'm going to work from the nose round. There's a couple of bits there, so I'm going to just going to reduce the size of that a little bit and refine those edges. Should we reduce it completely as tiny as possible and just go into that corner just a tiny bit? Okay, there's a little nib out there. So just keep working round of fish. And with something with a simple outline like this, it really doesn't actually take that long to do. You could, if you wanted to, actually physically go around and crop it with the polygon and make that a little bit bigger, make it a bit easier for me, and you can do it that way, but this is getting me there. Now I did have a go at doing it the other way around and selecting the background and trying to remove the background, but as you can see with the background, it's not plain white. There's lots of different tonal areas on that, and it actually was not as easy. So actually cutting the fish out is, for me, and this one is better than removing the background. It results in the same thing, but it just worked easier doing it that way. This needs to go right down again now. So I'm on the minus, so I can get that in there a little bit more. Go on the plus because I want it to be part of the selection. And I'll need to make that smaller just to get right in the corner there. Okay, and we're nearly there. Nearly background to the nose. I'm actually going to cheat. I'm going to smooth that out. That is a little bit of a gash in the collage itself, but I'm just going to smooth that out, and I might even just smooth that little bit of snippet off of there, so it is refining it a little bit more than the actual collage. So I'm happy with that, so I'm going to press OK, and again Command C, Command V to copy and paste. I'm going to go back to my direction tool, and you can see now I have got two layers. I'm going to turn the background layer off, which is the actual picture, and then I've now got single fish that I can move around on my screen. So to make these into a pattern automatically on Photoshop, I'm going to first of all convert these into a smart layer. So I'm going to take layer 1 and I'm going to go to layer, smart objects, convert to smart object. So that's put a little square in the corner there, and so we know that that one is a smart object. Go to layer 2, do exactly the same, layer, smart objects, convert to smart objects. Okay, now I want to choose both of those layers, so I've highlighted both layer and layer 1 and layer 2. I'm going to go up here to View and Pattern Preview and click OK, and this is where we get the repeating pattern happening. So now I can play around with those fish if I want to, so I can move them around. I'm going to make I might make 2 or 3 patterns. So I've got a pattern of a columns, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go to Edit, Define Pattern, and I'm going to call the pattern Fish 1 and press OK. That takes it over onto the swatch panel over here. I'm going to make the pattern a little bit different, so I'm going to put them in sort of a more of a brickwork pattern. I'm going to select both of the fish, Command T to transform, and I'm going to make them bigger. So they're both about the same size. Press tick it, and then we're going to go back to the one layer at a time just to even those out a little bit. And that's going to be my next pattern. So edit, define pattern, fish 2. Okay, another pattern on here. So I'm now going to go Command T, and I'm going to go to transform, and I'm going to flip horizontally. And so all my fish are going in the same direction now. Tick. And that is going to be my next pattern. So edit, define pattern, fish 3. Okay, so from my collage fish I've got 3 different patterns. So now to get out of this, I'm going to go back to view, deselect pattern preview. That takes us back to the original screen, and we can put the fish back where we want. To try the pattern out, I'm going to go to another document here. This is a blank A4 document. I'm going to add a new layer to this one. So I'm adding layer, a new fill layer, and it's going to be a pattern. It's going to be called pattern 1. I'm going to choose my pattern, and I'm going to choose the first fish pattern that we made. At 100% scale, you don't get much pattern on there, so I'm just going to highlight that and reduce that down so you can see what this pattern looks like on an A4 piece of paper. Okay, so we're going to leave it at 15. Once it's at that scale, you can move it around however you like. So if you want 2 columns in the middle and fish coming in and out from the sides, you can do it like that, or you can have it as 3 columns of fish. Okay, so I'm going to switch that one off. I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to do a new fill layer pattern, and it's going to be the second fish pattern that we made. Go to the 100%, highlight that, reduce it down, alter the scale to get as many fish on the page as you would like. I'm going to go to about 20%, I think. So I kind of like those fish. How do we like them? So we've got sets of eyes basically, so I'm going to have 2 columns of eyes, and press OK, and that's my second pattern. I'm going to switch that layer off, the visibility off. I'm going to go back to layer, new fill layer, pattern, OK, choose my pattern, and I'm going for pattern number 3. Highlight the scale, reduce it down, and again at about 20%. I've now got fish coming in from one side to the other. Okay, so I'm going to highlight my background layer now and go to put a new layer on. So layer, new fill layer, I'm going to put a solid colour, and I'm going to choose a greeny colour, and I'm going to have a sort of a palish green. Should we have that? We'll choose OK. Just going to make this a little bit bigger for you to see. And so we've got our fish on a background layer. So I'm now going to switch that one off, and I'm going to show you the first pattern, the second pattern, and the third pattern. So from our collage yesterday, we've made a repeating pattern, 3 repeating patterns. The sky's the limit. You can make as many repeating patterns as you'd like. How to make a repeating pattern from collage using Photoshop.